All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty chilling thought experiment. What happens when a failing 20th century ideology gets its hands on the most powerful technology of the 21st century? We're going to put 1945 right next to a hypothetical 2026.
So, picture this. It's the spring of 1945, and the Third Reich is absolutely falling apart. Allied armies are pouring in from both east and west. The industrial base is just shattered, fuel is gone, and the armies, well, they're a mix of exhausted vets and kids who've barely been trained. The whole war machine was just grinding to a halt.
So this is where we get to the core of this whole thing. Let's really dig into this thought experiment. How would a totalitarian doctrine, at its most nihilistic, actually operate with today's technology? We're talking the gritty reality of 1945 versus a very chilling hypothetical, the year 2026.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about propaganda, the battle for your mind. Because before a single shot is fired on any physical battlefield, every total war really begins as a war of ideas, a war for the narrative.
Think about it. In 1945, you had Joseph Goebbels using state radio, the people's receiver, to blast one single powerful message to millions of people. It was top-down, a total monopoly on what was considered truth. But in 2026, the whole strategy flips to what's now called narrative warfare. It's this decentralized free-for-all where countless algorithmically tailored messages target you, specifically, making propaganda feel less like a broadcast and more like a personal discovery.
And at the very heart of this new kind of warfare is technology that can fake reality. I mean, completely and convincingly. Deepfakes aren't just about spreading lies. They're a fundamental attack on the very idea of visual proof, which used to be the bedrock of how we understood what was happening in a war.
What these tools create is what some people are calling a synthetic fog of war. Just imagine deepfake videos of world leaders surrendering, or AI-generated images of cities in ruin that were never actually attacked. It makes it almost impossible for anyone to tell what's real from what's fake in the moment.
And this quote, it just hits the nail on the head. Of course, the physical fighting is real. But for most of the world watching, the war is a story, a narrative built from content that's been optimized by algorithms. The most engaging piece of fiction can now travel way faster and way further than the boring old truth.
Okay, so we've seen the war for your mind. Now let's switch gears and see how this all translates to the actual physical tools of warfare.
In his final, absolutely desperate years, Hitler pinned all his hopes on these game-changing wonder weapons, or Wunderwaffen. They were supposed to be these technological silver bullets, proof that German genius could still pull a victory out of thin air.
And look, some of these weapons were insanely advanced for their time. The V-2 rocket, you couldn't stop it once it was launched. The Me-262 jet fighter could fly circles around Allied planes. But they were the classic case of too little too late. They just couldn't build enough of them to actually make a difference.
Fast forward to 2026, and the whole game has changed. The new benchmark for a wonder weapon? Hypersonic speed. That's more than 5 times the speed of sound. And we're not just talking a small step up. This is a quantum leap in what's possible.
I mean, just look at this jump. You compare the V-2, which was basically a terror weapon that landed somewhere in a general area, to a modern hypersonic glide vehicle. We're talking speeds up to Mach 25, incredible range, and pinpoint accuracy. These things aren't just fast, they can maneuver, which makes them a total nightmare for even the most advanced defense systems to track, let alone intercept.
But here's the thing about warfare in 2026. It's not just about what you see. A huge strategy now is hybrid warfare. It's this blend of tactics that includes targeting the hidden infrastructure that our entire world runs on. You can attack an enemy without ever firing a single traditional bullet.
And this, right here, is the Achilles heel of our modern world. Over 95% of all global internet traffic, everything from stock market data to secret military comms, travels through a surprisingly small number of very vulnerable fiber optic cables lying on the ocean floor. They're the invisible highways of our civilization, and honestly, they're shockingly easy to get to.
So you've got these incredible tools for twisting minds and waging war, but how do you actually control society itself? How does that old totalitarian dream of complete control actually work in the digital age?
20th century dictators had their secret police, their informants, their brute force. But today, oh man, the dream of total control is terrifyingly within reach. The state can know its citizens on a level that was just pure science fiction back then.
So a modern authoritarian regime basically follows this simple but incredibly powerful 3-step playbook.
Step 1. Know absolutely everything about your citizens through their digital footprint. Step 2. Use what you know to shape what they believe with personalized propaganda. And finally, Step 3. Control how they behave by tying everything, travel, banking, everything to a loyalty score.
So when it was all crashing down, when defeat was absolutely certain, Hitler's ideology showed its true nihilistic colors. He issued the Nero Decree, which was a scorched earth order to destroy all of Germany's infrastructure. In his mind, the German people had failed him, so they deserved to be destroyed right along with his regime.
So you gotta ask yourself, if a regime in 2026, with all this tech, was facing that same kind of collapse, what would its final, spiteful act of destruction look like? It wouldn't just be physical, it would be digital.
This new scorched earth policy, it wouldn't just take down one nation's infrastructure. No, it would go after the very nervous system of our global civilization, our finances, our communications, our energy grids. It's a digital twilight of the gods, designed to drag the whole world down with it.
So what this all boils down to is that the very nature of war and control has just fundamentally shifted in the last 80 years.
Look, the goals of a totalitarian regime, they never really change. It's always about absolute power, expansion, and subjugation. But the tools, my God, the tools have evolved beyond anything we could have imagined. The new battlefield is everywhere, and it's happening all the time.
And that's why this whole thought experiment isn't just some historical what if. It's a hard look in the mirror at the technology that's shaping our world right now. And it leaves us with a really urgent question. As the instruments of control get exponentially more powerful, how do we make sure that our defenses, our critical thinking, our democratic institutions, our shared belief in truth, are evolving right along with them?